Hello there, and welcome to the Dr. Francavilla Show. Today's episode is all about setting goals. If you are like most of my patients, you have set lots of goals in your life around health and weight. And maybe you haven't always been successful with them. Maybe you haven't always accomplished them. Maybe you haven't even started them. And some of that may be that you are choosing the wrong goal. So it is the beginning of 2023. A lot of people like to start off their year with setting a goal, but you can set goals any time of the year. So don't let a date on a calendar limit you. Today, I'm going to teach you how to set goals that you can actually achieve and how to set yourself up for success. So let's go ahead and get started. So a lot of times I will have patients come in to see me and they have these goals in mind. Maybe they've had them for a while and sometimes they feel really attached to them. The goal might be something like, I want to get healthier, or I want to lose weight, or I want to exercise more. And those are all wonderful things, but they are not very detailed and they are not setting you up for success. So we're going to talk today about how you set a SMART goal, which is an acronym we will go through. These are used in lots of different ways. So you may have used these for work or school before, and they're definitely important when it comes to focusing on your health. So the first part of setting a goal is to be specific. That is our S, specific. And that is probably the most important thing. When you are setting a goal like, I want to lose weight, or I want to get healthier, or I want to exercise more, it's really easy to do nothing because the goal wasn't very specific. And so you may find that at the end of a month or a year, you haven't done anything because, well, what does being healthier mean, right? How much weight? Is 2 pounds enough? Is 20 pounds enough? Are you trying to lose 100 pounds and you get frustrated because that didn't work out? So you want to start off with something that is specific. Now we're going to go through some other things too. Your specific goal may be too specific, right? But you want something that is more than what I would say an intention. My intention is to be healthier. My intention is to maintain my weight. My intention is to exercise more. But those aren't goals per se. They are not concrete enough. So you really want to be specific when you are setting a goal. You don't want to say, I want to lose weight. You want to lose 5% of your body weight. You don't want to get healthier. You want to reduce your cholesterol or get it to a normal level. You want to reduce your blood sugar, get it to a normal level. You want to walk up a flight of stairs without feeling short of breath. That is a more concrete goal around health. You don't want to exercise more. You want to exercise 30 minutes every day of the week or 3 times a week, right? You want to have a specific goal. Okay. So that is the first part of setting a goal that is going to set you up for success. The next is M, which is measurable. So measurable means that you can actually measure and see if you're achieving that goal. So again, if you say, I want to be healthier, but you don't have a metric for that, you don't have a way to know, you're probably not going to achieve anything specific because you didn't come up with a measurable unit to decide if you're healthier or not. So if you had a goal of eating more vegetables, for example, you want to not just say more vegetables, but how much? I want to have 3 servings of vegetables a day, or I want to have a vegetable with every meal, or I want to try having a vegetable once a day. You want to be a little bit more specific and have it be a unit you can measure. With weight, that one's pretty simple. That may be measuring body weight. That may be measuring a percent of body fat on a scale. That may be doing a waist circumference. Those would all be units you could measure to see if you are making a change. Another example might be with exercise again. Instead of just saying more, you want to say, I want to do it 3 times a week and I'm going to track it somewhere, right? I'm going to write it in a journal, or maybe you're going to use like your smartwatch or something like that. They can actually see how often, how many minutes you're exercising. You can count steps with exercise. One of my favorite methods for working on a habit or a goal, I learned about from Jerry Seinfeld. Seinfeld of all people, and he talked about when he was trying to become a really good comedian, he would make himself work on comedy every day, write jokes every single day, I think for 30 minutes or something. And he had a calendar on his wall, and he would just put an X through the calendar every day that he did it. And he loved seeing those X's stack up week after week after week. And that's what's called the chain method. So when you see yourself like, yes, I did it today. Yes, I did it today. It becomes a way to keep yourself accountable, a way to be proud of yourself, really see what you're accomplishing. And it becomes easier and easier to do every time you have an X on that calendar. So that's a way to measure something. That's just a yes, no, right? Did I do the activity or the thing I planned to today? Yes, I get an X on the calendar. You might journal, you might use an app, but find a way to track your goal so you can see if you're making progress. Okay, is your goal attainable? This is something that is also a challenge when you are setting a goal. We're going to talk about realistic next, and there's some overlap, but attainable means it's something that you actually can accomplish. So if you want to go back to the gym that you used to work out at, you really liked it, you want to go back 3 days a week, and the gym is only open until 6 p.m. and you work until 5:30, that may not be attainable, right? That plan is setting you up for failure because you only have 30 minutes to get to the gym and work out, right? So if the schedule doesn't work out for what your goal is, that's not attainable. Or maybe you want to go back to the CrossFit gym that you loved, but it is way too expensive. It's not in your budget. And so you keep setting this goal of doing it, but the thing that's in the way is a financial barrier. That's not attainable, right? You're going to need to find a different goal because that one's not going to work for you right now. Another one would be around a specific weight goal. Sometimes people will want to get back to the weight they were when they were 17 or 18 years old. They may have gained 100 pounds since then. That may not be an attainable goal to lose 100 pounds or 150 pounds. You may need to do bariatric surgery, and maybe that's not how you are wanting to lose weight right now, right? So is it attainable? It may just force you to make some tough choices, right? So if you sit down and you think, I want to go back to the CrossFit gym, right? I really liked it, but I don't have the money. That may mean making a new choice, right? Maybe you need to make it attainable. Maybe you're going to change something in your budget. Maybe you sit down and you realize that you would be happiest and your health would be the best if you lost 100 pounds, and everything you're researching, everything you've seen, all your experiences tell you bariatric surgery may be the only way to get there. You may need to change your mindset about how you accomplish your goal, right? But if you are not able to do the thing you need to do to achieve your goal, then that goal is just not attainable, right? So make sure the goal seems attainable. It's okay for things to be challenging. It's okay for things to be hard. You might have to make change and sacrifice in your life to achieve a goal, but make sure you're setting yourself up for success. Pick something that is doable. In a similar line of thought, is it realistic? So sometimes I will have people come in and they have a big event coming up, a trip, a high school reunion, a wedding for themselves or a family member, and they really want to lose, 30 or 40 or 50 pounds by that event in a couple of months. And it's always possible, but it may not be realistic, right? That type of weight loss that person is wanting to achieve may not be a safe, health, reasonable, or realistic goal. Other things that may not be realistic are just getting a few steps ahead of yourself. So maybe you've always liked the idea of running a marathon. Maybe that's something you thought you would do 20 or 30 years ago, and you still like that idea. And you say, this is the year, I'm going to run a marathon. But the last time you ran was 5 years ago, and right now walking a mile is hard for you. That may not be a realistic goal. Maybe not for this year, right? Maybe you need to set the goal a little smaller. Maybe you need to start with a 5K or a 10K and work your way up to a marathon, right? So that may not be realistic for you if you are not able to do that. Also, if you say you like the idea of running a 5K, you're like, all my friends are going to do that, somebody be my goal. I'm going to run a 5K. That's 3 miles. I'm going to do it. But you hate running and it's torture. And you're like, in reality, I'm not going to run. I don't like it. that's not a great goal. Pick something else, right? Decide that you're going to learn how to deadlift and you're going to see what your max deadlift can be this year, or decide that you're going to start swimming or that you're going to join a Zumba class. Like pick a different exercise. If the one that you feel like you should do that other people have goals for, you don't like, that may not be realistic, right? Don't expect yourself to just completely become a new person. I personally don't like dance-based exercise. I am not a Zumba person, right? So if my plan was I'm going to start doing Zumba with my friend every week, it's probably not realistic because I know I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to stick with it. I'm setting myself up for failure, right? So pick something that's realistic that you know you can do. It may require growth and change. You may have to push yourself, but you will reach that goal. But if it's something you hate doing, something you're never going to do, that may not be realistic. Okay. Okay. So that is attainable and realistic. And then the last one is time or time bound. And that basically means that there should be some sort of deadline. Sometimes I say that a goal without a deadline is a dream. So I have lots of dreams. I'm constantly coming up with things I might want to do in my life, things that sound kind of cool. But until you put a deadline on it, it's just a dream, right? So one of the things I would like to share with you is a quote from Robin Arzon. She is a Peloton instructor, and she's incredibly inspirational. I always joke she's a very cheap life coach. You just get on that Peloton and listen to her talk. But she talked about how she's never done a triathlon, and she likes the idea of it. A lot of her friends do it. She's good at running, good at cycling, but she doesn't really do the swimming. And she's talking about this. She's like, but you know what? I haven't decided to do it. And I thought that was a great mindset. Like when you decide you're going to do something, that's when you come up with a plan. That's when you create action. That's when you come up with a timeline. But if you haven't decided on something, if you haven't committed to something, then that's just a dream, right? That's not a goal. That's just a dream. So when you are setting that goal, make sure there's some sort of time frame. Now, the time frame should be realistic and attainable, but you don't want to just say, "Oh, someday I'd like to run a marathon. Someday I'd like to lose 10 pounds. Someday I'd like to have my cholesterol look better." What's the time frame? What seems realistic? What seems attainable? So that may be also coming up with really specific days or times that you are going to do something. So you may say, I am going to work out 3 days a week, right? That is setting a time sensitive thing. And then you need a start date, right? When is this going to start? Pick a day. Is this going to start May 1st? Is this starting tomorrow? When are you starting the plan? So having some sort of time structure to your goals is really important. So the SMART goals all work together. You can't have just a specific goal, right? You can't have just a measurable goal, right? You can't have something that's just attainable or realistic. And you can't have something that's just a deadline, like, oh, I'm going to lose, 50 pounds in 6 months. You need it to be all of those things. So when you find yourself thinking about your goals for the year or the month or your life, think about those in those terms, those SMART terms, so that you can create yourself some success. So let's go back to some of the examples I mentioned in the beginning and talk about what those would look like. So for example, if your original goal was that you wanted to get healthier, maybe you have a specific recommendation from your doctor or that you know that you need to achieve. So getting healthier could be, I want to reduce my A1C by a full point. I want to get my cholesterol under 200, my total cholesterol maybe. I want to be able to walk up a flight of stairs without feeling short of breath. So those are going to be a lot more specific. Then you need to come up with how you're going to get there, right? So we'll talk about that next. How can we make another goal more specific about I want to lose weight? Well, let's think about what may be a realistic goal, right? So a lot of times we will set a goal of between 5 and 10%. That is a pretty realistic goal. And that is someplace where you will see huge change in your health. You will see significant health benefit from a 10% weight loss. So that may be an excellent place to start, is that 10% weight loss. Maybe it's 5%, right? So that would be a goal there. And then an exercise goal, maybe not, I want to exercise more, but I want to exercise 5 days a week. So that's getting a little bit more realistic and specific with our goals. Okay, now the next step, once you have a good goal, a goal that you can achieve and that's going to get you where you want to go, how do you make it happen? So I think one of the most important things is to write your goal down, make it real. You might even consider sharing it with people. So that is an important part of accountability and making things real. So consider sharing your goal with people in some way. And in fact, I'm going to share one with you today, and you can watch me over 2023 and see if I make any progress with this. It's a little bit of a silly one, and I'm not going to beat myself up if I can't do it, but it's something I've kind of wanted to do for a while, and that is be able to do the splits. I tried a yoga video a couple years ago, and they kind of tricked you into getting partway there, and I started to see that maybe it was attainable, maybe it was realistic. And so my goal for 2023 is to be able to do the splits by the end of the year. And I think that to do that, my plan is going to be to do some of these different yoga videos at least once a week. And I'm going to measure my progress by taking pictures and videos and sharing them with you so you can see if I'm making any progress with this goal of mine. So that by putting that out into the world, I have now forced myself to be a little bit accountable, right? I have pressure. I'm going to have my friends and family asking me, like, how are the splits going, right? And it's going to push me to make sure I do that video every week so that at the end of 2023, I can give it my best shot and see how far I can go with the splits. Okay. So when you share your goal with someone, it makes it real. You don't have to share it with the whole world. I know a lot of people are more private than me, but share it with a friend, share it with your partner, or if nothing else, write it down. Okay, once you've written your goal down, put it someplace you can see it so that you don't forget about it, right? We don't want it to be a dream that we just think about sometimes. We want it to be a real thing we're working towards. So you might put that on your mirror in your bathroom, a little sticky note that says, my goal is to walk up the stairs without feeling short of breath. You might put it on your screensaver on your phone. So every time you look at your phone throughout the day, you see it, right? My goal is to eat vegetables 3 times a day. Man, that would be a good reminder every time you open up your phone. Maybe you put it on your computer screen so that you see it every time you open up your computer. So put it someplace where you're going to see it and where it becomes real, and you remind yourself on a regular basis that that was your goal. The next thing is to come up with a plan. So I told you one of my goals for 2023 and what my plan is. You need a plan, right? So let's talk about that vegetable goal. Vegetables, by the way, if you didn't know, are really good for you. That's a great health goal for anyone, to eat more vegetables. They have fiber, they have phytonutrients, and they help you stay full without that many calories. So veggies are good for you. Okay, side note there. So if your goal is to eat more vegetables, what's your plan to get there, right? So if you already know that you're not eating very many, let's figure out why, right? Do you not like them? Do you not buy them? Is it just not part of your habit? And then figure out how to solve those problems. So if you just don't buy them, you need to be intentional and say, okay, part of my plan is every Sunday, I'm either going to go to the grocery store or I'm going to order groceries, and I'm going to make sure that I order the vegetables I need for the week. And I don't know if you have had fresh vegetables at your house, but sometimes they go bad. Sometimes they go bad a lot quicker than you'd expect. Sometimes you forget to go to the store, or you get busy, or they're out of the thing you want. And so I always recommend having a backup plan for a lot of your goals. So maybe your first plan is, I'm going to shop once a week, get the veggies I need. But the backup plan might be, I'm going to keep lots of frozen vegetables around so that I always have something available that I can eat, or I'm going to have pre-made salads available. So think about ways that you can set yourself up for success and have a plan. Maybe you need to plan out your menu every day, right? And be like, okay, with lunch, I'm going to have my salad, and then I'm going to have a snack of carrots in the afternoon with some hummus. And then at dinner, I'm always going to have a side of veggies, and then bam, bam, bam. Don't even have to think about it. It becomes a habit. I'm having 3 servings of veggies a day. So that would be some specific plans to help you with that. Going to that exercise goal. If you want to improve your exercise quantity, you're going to need a plan to do that, right? So maybe you've even gotten as specific as I'm going to exercise 5 days a week and I'm going to do it for 30 minutes. Okay, great. What are you going to do for your exercise? Maybe you'll make a plan to go to the gym 3 days a week and go on a walk 2 days a week. Great. Also like to recommend a backup plan there, right? If there's a day you can't get to the gym or you have to stay home with a sick kid or the weather's bad and you're not going to be able to go outside and walk, what's your backup plan, right? So maybe your backup plan for the gym is you go on another walk. Maybe your backup plan for bad weather is that you do a yoga video at home or a different workout video that you like. So figure out what that plan is going to be so that you set yourself up to be able to work out 5 days a week. And then you need to figure out when you're going to work out, right? Are you going to do it in the morning? If it doesn't happen in the morning, are you going to do it at your lunch break? If it doesn't happen over lunch break, are you going to do it at the end of the day? If you don't do it on a weekday, are you going to make it up on the weekend? So thinking through what is my plan and then what are maybe some backups? And that is going to help you turn your goal from a dream, from a vision, from an intention into a concrete thing you can accomplish, okay? So set a good goal with your SMART goal. Declare your goal to the world, or at least yourself. Just write it on a little sticky and put it someplace. And then come up with a plan of how you can actually achieve that goal. Now, sometimes you might need help, right, with that. There are lots of goals that you may not be able to accomplish completely on your own. Maybe you'll just need to do some research, right? If you want to run your first 5K or walk your first 5K, maybe you're just going to download a training program from the internet. But if you are, say, trying to lose 10% weight and you know you've tried that before and haven't been successful, that may be a time to say, see an obesity specialist, right? Maybe it's time to work with a nutritionist or a personal trainer. It may be time to get some help, right? If your goal is maybe like mine to do the splits, I know that's a really common goal. But if your goal is something like that, and you're not reaching the progress, maybe you will need to hire a coach, a yoga instructor, a gymnastics instructor, right? Who can help you reach that. There's all sorts of coaches and things online that can help you reach your goals, right? There's financial planners if you're not reaching financial goals or you need help sorting through all of that, right? You have accountants that help you do things. We have all sorts of people that we get help with. And so if you need help with your goal, find the person who can help you achieve it. And don't be afraid to utilize that help. So that is another way to achieve your goal is if you're not having the success you want, find out who the expert is who can help you because there's an expert on everything and they're kind of easy to find nowadays. Okay, let's see. We talked about accountability. I think that's huge. And then I would say my last sort of thing I want to talk about for achieving success with your goals is accepting a partial result. So a lot of times I see that my patients are very black and white about things. Either they lose the 20% of weight that they want to, or they're a failure. Well, there's a middle ground here, right? You lost 10% of your weight. You're eating an incredibly healthy diet with lots of vegetables and nutritious food. You're exercising all the time. Your blood work looks great. And yes, you didn't lose as much weight as you wanted, but you're super healthy and your weight is in a great place. Maybe that's enough, right? Maybe your goal was to exercise 5 days a week and you didn't, for lots of reasons, that didn't happen, but you went 3 times a week almost every week. And you can see that because you tracked it in your app, right? Great. That's a huge success. If you weren't exercising at all, exercising 3 days a week is a win, right? If I can't do the splits at the end of the year, but I can do them a lot better and I have more flexibility and I now know, how far I can go and I've pushed myself, maybe that's okay, right? It's not a failure. You just didn't get there yet. And if your timeline doesn't quite get you there, you can always extend it. In 2020, I actually set a goal to run a marathon, and 2020 was a bit of a crazy year. And I didn't do it. And in 2021, I still kind of had it as a goal, but I didn't plan and I didn't commit and I didn't put that goal out into the world. And then in 2022, this year, I said, I'm going to do it this year. And about April, I fully committed. I signed up with my sister. I got a training program. I got advice from people and I finished my first marathon. It was not that fast. but I finished, I achieved it, right? And so it's okay to put your goals on hold a little bit too, right? And find a time in your life when they are attainable and realistic, because some goals may not be attainable or realistic right now, but they may be something you can accomplish 2 or 3 years from now, right? So it's okay to have partial wins. If you are wanting to do a marathon and you do a half marathon, that's still awesome, right? If you're wanting to do a 5K and you don't, but now you've run a mile for the first time in 10 years, that's great. So accepting a partial win and not thinking of yourself as a failure when you get partway there is also really huge in allowing yourself to feel successful and wanting to keep setting new goals. Okay, well, Happy New Year if you're listening to this as it comes out. And if you are anytime throughout the year, you can always revisit those goals and you can revise them and figure out how to make them smarter, which is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. And then make sure you have a plan to enact your goal, right? And that may be creating some accountability. That may be coming up with a specific plan, including finding a coach or a physician or whoever needs to be that person to help you achieve your goal. And that may involve a mindset shift. Maybe you need to change how you've done things. If you've never tried a medication for weight or you've never gotten surgery for your weight, maybe it's time. If you've never gotten a running coach and you want to learn how to run, maybe it's time. If you've never had someone help you with nutrition, maybe it's time. So it may be getting some outside help. And again, accepting partial wins. If you wanted to eat 3 vegetables a day and you only ended up eating 2, you still ate more vegetables than you did if you were eating 0, right? So giving yourself that partial win. All right. I hope that was helpful. Go ahead and write down some tips for yourself. If you have a goal that you have in mind, if you have a dream, if you have a partial plan, take a few minutes right now. How can you make that goal smarter? How can you enact it? What's your plan? And maybe share it with someone who can help you stay accountable. Okay, that's your homework today. So go ahead and make some dream, some intention, a smart goal, come up with your plan, share it with one person, or at least write it down where you can see it every day and see where you go. And if you don't get the whole way there, that's okay. It's still a success to get partway there. And you can always restart and push yourself further in the future. All right, that's all I have for you today. Take care.